Hello and welcome to Crypto Bible. My name is Oliver Tompkins, and in today's episode, it's another Oliver and Elliott's market update. Now, last week was incredible. We got some TA from Elliott. He told us what he thought was going to happen. So let's find out and see what he thinks, what's happening with the market at the moment, and go through our normal talking points. I've got him waiting in the wings. Let's get him in. Elliott, hello. How are you?
I'm good, Ollie. How about yourself?
I'm fantastic, mate. So last week you said, I remember last week when we spoke about Coinwatch, you said about having a resistance level. It was about 44,000, and if it hit that, it was either going to do one or two things. But it kind of went the way you said, right?
Yep. So what we found was I expected that because we'd broken the weekly structure in that respect, which I can get onto in a moment, we were going to get an influx of an increase of Bitcoin's price. Now, what we found that Bitcoin's actually, to an extent, started outperforming the rest of the market, which means that the dominance of Bitcoin over the rest of the market has increased, which also indicates that when that happens, to an extent, if Bitcoin's increasing at a faster rate, at some point we will see the rest of the market start to come up against the value of Bitcoin. Now, the reasons why we expected $44,000 was, essentially was large resistance around about them kind of levels. We'd had previous support where the price had been held up, and it was also a key area of confluence between the outside of the existing trend, which I can get into in a moment. Now, I just want to get into this week a little bit of the kind of fundamental factors as to why the market's actually increased, which a lot of people, they don't like to think about it, but it's one of the reasons why it's happened. So you think about the Russian assets, a lot of them have been frozen by the Western world because of what's going on with the potential war and all that sort of stuff. So what a lot of the Russians have started to do is move the money out of kind of places where they could be frozen and starting to queue up to buy Bitcoin actually $10 and $20 above $10 and $20,000 above the market price.
Right.
Which has caused almost an artificial increase in Bitcoin's price that can project as even higher than this in this respect. Because if people are buying Bitcoin right now at $50,000 and the price is only $41,000 because they're going through, maybe unlawful means to buy it, then there's scope for the price to grow. Not a very nice thing to think about, but you've got to take these things into account that's probably going to bolster the price of Bitcoin. Now,
okay.
Do you, from a technical standpoint, do you want me to share my screen just to back up?
Let me bring your screen in. There we go. All right, that's him.
So from an overall macroeconomical perspective as to what's going on with the market. So before I get any of the analysis up, I just want to take a look from the monthly time frame at kind of where we are, because there's a couple of significant things that have happened quite recently. Yeah. So you can see that when I talk about trend structure, you've got the markets continuously forming higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, again, the wick came higher, potential higher low just here, right? Which means that we're potentially going into a new monthly, a monthly upwards trending structure, right?
Okay.
Now, if we look at the weekly trending structure, you can see that the weekly trending structure, we made a new low, lower high, new low, lower high, higher low from this previous low here.
Yeah.
We broke that structure, so you see. And if I go down to the daily time frame, you can see that even better than that, we've started to trend upwards, higher high, higher low, potential higher high. We've got a resistance region here, which I'm talking about, which is where these predictions came from. Resistance. It's key area in the past that's acted as resistance. We're now sat around $41,000, which is a key support level from previous historical data. That's held right. So what we're going to likely do now, if I go into my actual technical analysis that we were looking at, previously. There's a lot of things on the chart here, but I just want to go across, what's going on in simple terms, right? So if I, for a minute, just get rid of this, and I also get rid of these,
right,
into the 4-hourly time frame, what you can see is that the price of Bitcoin had kind of two making up, well, that made up this price movement. So we had the trend structure was broken, so you can see that we had in the 4-hour time frame, the market, as much as this trend line is not amazing, the market was trending downwards. We then came up and we formed a higher low just here. If you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Now, what we've got in this respect here is we have something called an inverse head and shoulders. So we got a low, followed by a lower low, followed by a new low. And what you can see when it comes to any kind of, pattern as a whole, there's always a target associated with the pattern as such, right? Now, the reason why I gave the projection of $44,000 was to be able to measure a target for a head and shoulders that's inverse. If you've got a head and shoulders that's kind of above the trend line as such, or above the line as such, that would be essentially a bearish signal, meaning the price could go down. But because it's an inverse, it means that the momentum potentially would be to bust to the top. So what we're going to do is we take the area that was resistance, so resistance,
Yeah.
and you measure from that. We call this the neckline in simple terms. You measure from that, from the bottom to the top, and then from the point of breakout, you take that and you add it.
Oh.
Yeah. And this then gives you your target, right? So your target in this respect, you can see here, we had an absolutely perfect target just there that was fulfilled in that respect, right? It was fulfilled to perfection. Now, that's one way to look at it, and a lot of people do trade in that respect. But what I always like to look at in this respect as well, in the 1 hour time frame, I was looking at, well, if we're looking at previous areas as such, and we're looking at, where previously could we have got, I predicted potentially we might get a pullback here, which didn't happen. We got far too much pressure.
Yeah.
I was expecting, well, if we're going to get resistance here, which we got a little bit, if I go down to that 15-minute, for example, we got a little bit of resistance here, right? But we broke through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I expected there would be, but there wasn't as much as what I would have expected. Now, what I did from this point, before this move even played out, I knew my target was 44K. I put a Fibonacci in here from the start of this move to around about the resistance level here, right?
Okay.
That we was at this point when I drew this, we were getting resistance here. Okay, so it was around about the 28th of February. And I expected that we might get a pullback into these regions that was retesting previous resistance as new support. Yeah.
Okay.
And then move upwards to 44K, of which that never happened. Now, what you can also see when I gave these kind of predictions at 44K is that we've now got to an extent, whether it's relevant or not, because this move didn't happen, we also had a full extension of this move that had clear confluence between this $44,000 region here. So you'll see that we got a touch perfect on this 100% extension, another touch perfect, and another touch, okay, before the price moved down. So you got a triple top in that respect. Now, what I expect, so if I'm going to keep this in because I've got analysis that I've done for other people in our kind of private members club. Now, what I'm going to mention just here is using this same methodology of utilizing a Fibonacci and expecting that, number one, we're stacking up three things here. We're stacking up, number one, that we've got a new higher low made here, which essentially makes us a new trend line, an uptrending structure. Now, the methodology would be, and anyone that's looking to take out a trade, this is not financial advice, but this is quite a good region to look at. It would tell us that we're going to come potentially into this region just here. So when we hit this region, I had a load of members that I work with that took short here because there was clear congregated sell pressure from these regions here. And the target clearly would be in around this $41,000 region because it's got clear confluence between this low, and a potential new low here. In which case, and also what you've got as well is the Fibonacci from the point of this drawn here to the top of this move. You've now got a region that we gave previously of 50% and 61% of this whole move, meaning that from the point of this move to the top here, we've had a 61% retracement, meaning the move has gone down back again 50% right now of 100% of the move. So say if this was a 100% move, let's say we've lost 50% of that. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
These key areas just here that we're looking at, 50% and 61.8, regardless of whether you would say, why do they have any relevance? Because of the way that markets work, a lot of people place orders in and around 50% and 61.8. And they're also going to place orders around this region here because it's on the trend line. So you've got two levels of confluence just there. So what that would then tell us, if we're going to get a lot of buy pressure in and around this region, let me just make this green so we kind of all following. What we're going to see here, we're likely going to see Bitcoin pull down to this region here. I would put a lot of things on this happening, unless, I mean, to an extent, we've already had a wick down at 40K, which might be at the bottom. But I'd probably say we're going to get at least a wick into these regions here. That would then tell us that we're going to get an explosive move from Bitcoin to number one target of $47,000. And you'll notice one of the first time we ever spoke, I was expecting a move of $50,000 with Bitcoin, right? Which is kind of like the catalyst for me as to whether we go into this longer term, upwards trending / new bull market as such, or whether we then traject even lower in terms of the price of Bitcoin. And I'll get onto why that potentially will be in kind of weeks to come when this stuff kind of starts to play out. But amicable first target would definitely be the $47,000 region. Why do I give that as a target? Because if we look at the overall long trending structure of Bitcoin, you've got low, low, low that got broke through. We had an explosive move to the downside. And because that was used as previous support, the likelihood is we're going to use that again as resistance in the future. Yeah. And if we can break back through that, then the next target will be essentially that $50,000 region. But the next target for me in this move, if we hold support here, which has the previous levels that we've held support in the past, then the next target for me is going to be $47,367. So we'll create a region there where I expect Bitcoin to travel potentially next. Now, what we're going to take into account, and this is where we're going more in depth, and this kind of stuff is going to be, because me giving these targets a culmination of experience and all these other factors that give me this bias. Now, if we're looking at, for example, Ethereum in this respect, Ethereum we've got just here is now essentially, on the daily time frame as such, we've started to trend upwards in terms of the structure. Now, I'm going to use just the bodies here in this respect because understanding where Bitcoin's going, that's going to have a pull on Ethereum. So the main thing for me is that we understand that if Bitcoin's going to pull things up and have an explosive move to $47,000, that the likelihood there is that we're going to see Ethereum move too, which is why I don't think if I look at trend strictly analysis and you put a trend line in here, things would tell us that this trend line has just been broken. Yeah. So uptrend, higher low, break of structure. But because we understand where Bitcoin is, I'm going to kind of cancel that out, which is against a lot of the technical analysis morals, but it seems to work, right? So that's why, because crypto is so volatile, you need to kind of use a lot of different contributing factors to get an overview as to where things can go. Now, for me, Ethereum at this point in time looks incredibly, incredibly bullish because of a couple of things, really. The first thing is the fact that we've seen this longer term trending structure here for Ethereum broken. We've also seen it retested. So we broke out of it. We've retested it now, which was previous resistance as support. We're also now in this respect, we've got an uptrending structure. We're also pairing that with the fact that Bitcoin in this respect has a potential bullish trajectory ahead of it. And we're also coiling into this region just here to potentially break to the upside. And targets for Ethereum in this respect would be, you can see this move here. This is going to be a 78.6 retracement or 78-point-ish retracement, just looking at that by experience. Now, 78.6 in that respect. We've just had a 61.8. We might get a 78.6. And you can see just here, I've given a look at this high here. And if we can push off of this region, the first target for Ethereum, number one, is 3,183 or 3,180. And the second target would be a target of 3,361. Now, if we look at this from a larger perspective and we look at, what can potentially happen because we've now on a daily time frame made a higher low. Let's look at this. So if I go like this and I put it from the high to the low, we've made a 78.6 retracement, which means that our kind of midterm targets for Ethereum would be anywhere to around of this $3,900 region. Now, that's not to get too ahead of itself because there can be fundamental news that change this in a heartbeat. The first target for me would be breaking back above this $3,300 region just here to make sure that we can regain this overall long bull trending structure. And then from there, we've got first target of, 3,600, second target of 4,000 and 3,900 in that respect. Now, further things, and this is the final thing I'm going to cover. When I'm looking at overall, if anyone's not versed on the Bitcoin dominance, I highly recommend that you do get versed on it. And the reason why I say that is because Bitcoin has a certain dominance over the market. Now, right now, if you look at the total market capitalization of crypto, you got $1.9 trillion of kind of liquidity as such, meaning the amount of that crypto has, all these 12,000 coins make up a liquidity of market cap of nearly $2 trillion, right? Bitcoin in this respect, it accounts for 41% of the market. Now, the general consensus is when Bitcoin is increasing in dominance, it's generally outperforming altcoins to the upside, meaning that it's performing better. So you can see that right now, you've got Bitcoin performing better than Ethereum on the 7-day period, other than Terra, which I'll get into in a moment. We talked about Terra last week, and that's blown up over the last kind of, it's pretty much, other than the little pullback, it pretty much doubled in value since we last spoke. I believe we were at $50 before, which is, quite a nice return. But continuing from that, what we've got is Bitcoin generally as a whole. We've got a few that are a little bit, as anomalies, but it's outperforming the rest of the market. And what that's done is that's increased the dominance of Bitcoin from 39% to right the way up to a 43%, which you can see on the dominance. Much as technical analysis sometimes doesn't work on the dominance, it's still in a downtrending structure as a whole. So lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay. And what that would then indicate to me is that, Bitcoin dominance can increase in one of two ways. It can increase a Bitcoin outperforming the rest of the market, or Bitcoin pushing the market down so much that the rest of the market loses more value than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin might be down 10% one day and the rest of the market, because it's more volatile, might be down 20%, which would then push the dominance of Bitcoin up. But equally, on the contrary, what we're looking for right now is, because we've got Bitcoin to an extent regaining market dominance, and it's still in a downtrending structure, that would indicate that because it's going upwards in value as Bitcoin and the rest of the market isn't increasing as much, the altcoins will start to try and regain market dominance against Bitcoin and appreciate at a fast rate. Each time we see the market dominance of Bitcoin going down in this trajectory, you see the altcoins going absolutely crazy because they're gaining in value against Bitcoin and they're outperforming Bitcoin. So time will tell us that we expect that the market dominance probably will come down to 39%, which would also strengthen our argument around the fact that altcoins will increase in value against the value of Bitcoin and increase in value. And that's why I get clarity around thinking Ethereum as the altcoin leader will essentially increase in value, and pull the rest of the market up, therefore bringing the market dominance down. So that's my 2 cents for today, Ollie. Has that been valuable to everyone?
No, that's been awesome, mate. My Wi-Fi dropped out a bit, so I think. Could you see me? Was I still on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously because I've got the analysis up, I can't see you, but yeah,
that's actually perfect then, Elliot. Because I was panicking then. I was panicking but no, I'm glad you kept on talking. So, did you say what you think will happen next? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we've got the targets for Bitcoin in simple terms for myself as of next. $46,000 is the next move. That would be, a retest of where we previously kind of were to an extent. If we can get upwards to around about $48,000, that would be retesting the outside of the longer term trend line. And if we can get up to that point and break past that, the next target would be 50K, in which case the target of 50K, and this is just one more moment before just so I can show everyone this. The reason why I say 50K and I give the target of 50K previously was this is where the catalyst for 50K is when we've got this outside trend line, we need to get back in to regain bullish structure. But if I plant a Fibonacci from the top to bottom just here.
Hang on, let me get this in so we can see. There we go.
Yeah, you've got a clear level here at $50,000, whereby if we hit this $50,000 region, which is outside of the trend line, and we get rejected of it, that can then project, if we get resistance at that region, that can project Bitcoin to $24,000, and potentially laterly it can project us to $16,000, and God help us in even around $10,000, which by the way, I am not ruling out. And the reason why I say that is because I'll talk about this in later times. Bitcoin has what we call a CME gap at around about $9,000. And if we do go into an extended bear market, the market can go down to $9,000 for Bitcoin before we see an impulsive move upwards to around about $152,000 for the next target when we go into the next cycle. But for me at this moment in time, I don't necessarily foresee that happening unless we get large resistance in and around that 50K region. We get fully rejected and implode. But yeah, that's not to scare people, but just be aware that could happen. And also, if that does happen, don't think that Bitcoin's dying, because it can happen.
Okay, so the next
year on year, Bitcoin's gone up 100%, it's dropped 80%, and we've gone higher in the past, right? But that could happen. But we just need to be aware of that really.
Right. Okay. So the next, for anyone that's watching and they're thinking, right, what's the next bit? The next resistant level is 50,000. $50,000.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll go from there. Okay, cool. So, second thing then, Elliot, people's favorite. I hear them say on the streets, Coinwatch. They love this bit. What coins you've been looking at this week and stuff. Now, what did you spoke about last week? Everdome and those sort of things. So, what's been on your thoughts this week, Coinwatch wise?
Yeah, so Everdome has taken a little bit, and it's quite good regions actually. It's about 47% down from all-time highs. Everdome's taken a little bit of a hit, and the reason why that is because they've had announcements that have been pushed back, which is giving investors less clarity. That's not to say that these regions aren't regions that we could be accumulating in that respect, and I certainly will be doing. In terms of Terra Luna, that's pretty much nearly doubled in value since we spoke about it.
Yeah, that's been good. I've seen that sort of. I remember seeing it at 30 quid, like sterling, and what is it? Then it went to 70 quid. I think it actually overtook Solana, didn't it? By market cap at one point. It's above.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It's number 7 in market capitalization now. Yeah. So it has. It's over. It's very, very. About $4 billion in terms of market cap higher. So yeah, that's one that I expect. Long-term play is going to be absolutely fantastic. I think. Another one for me recently, and this is just more the development knowledge side of things for me. I'm very bullish on Polygon Matic at this moment in time as a scaling tool. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the partnerships they're making, a lot of the ease of access, and people are using it for the likes of NFTs, the likes of other users to purchase on the Ethereum network because of the Ethereum gas fees. And from a development side of things, I know a lot of people are starting to alternatively build as a scaling solution, build on Ethereum with Matic as a partnership. So yeah, I'd say Matic that's retraced quite nicely into regions where it'd be good to start dollar cost averaging in that respect. One of the other ones I've been looking at, I gave some predictions on previously, was Phantom. That's 21% up over a 7-day period. Anywhere between $1.50 and $1 and $2 really are good regions to be getting interested. I would say in that as a project. There's also so we've got Avalanche as well. That's to below $80 at this moment in time. What you'll notice, Ollie, is I don't tend to often, should I say, give new coins, and the reason why that is because you can play the existing ones to that have strong fundamentals to the T, in the fact that you can buy them when they're low, they'll retrace back to regions, and then you can sell them kind of when they're high. But what you will find is that once every few weeks, when my research team have done doing deep dive, then I'll incrementally increase some of the coins that we're kind of watching as such. Right. But yeah, the general consensus for me is that Luna's long term is good, but it's done a lot of its hyper growth over the last week, should I say, at 50% increase. That's kind of, for me, the bulk of that move for the time being has done. But in terms of the next kind of trajectory moves, I would say Avalanche looks like it can move. Also Polygon Matic, that's looked like it can move. Phantom has done 21%, so I think the move on that won't be as aggressive. Let me just look. And you know what? I'll even go as far as saying in this respect, and this is quite a risky one, but I do think that there's 2 coins that are very risky, but I really like them. And to an extent, it's one of these ones, and I'll always hold my hands up when I've made a little bit of a screw up myself, not for my clients, but for myself. Filecoin, which is a decentralized storage of human data application, which is quite groundbreaking if you think about it. I mean, that thing's been up to $200 in the past, right? Yeah. And now it's sitting at a 90% decrease in value at $20. Yeah. So for me, these are regions where you're thinking, well, if this thing fluctuates between $10 and $20, and it even hits half of its market cap in the next run, this thing can really do well over the long term. Okay, so that's Filecoin. Okay. The other one for me is Theta. That thing's been to around about $12. It's now at $3. It's got backing from, and essentially for anyone who doesn't know, it's a decentralized, video kind of storage and video platform. So it's backed by the guy who created and co-founded YouTube. So it's got big backers, and he believes in the project. And it's around about $3 at this moment in time. It's 16% up over the 7-day period.
Yeah.
But I think that thing can definitely go up to $10. Not in the immediate short term, but over time. So it's a 3x probably at this point.
I like that. That's cool. A couple of DeFi picks, and I think a couple of weeks ago we spoke about some decentralized exchanges doing some staking. We talk about Beefy Finance that have got high APY. Have you heard of any other exchanges that have been like mad on sort of APY percentages or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, generally your APYs at this moment in time are coming on the Phantom network, like your ridiculous ones. Because to be honest, the Phantom network is very hard to navigate from a decentralized world.
Yeah.
So you've got basically your Phantom network, you've got your Phantom / Ethereum multi-chain network. You've also got your Phantom Opera network, which is where it kind of gets very, very confusing. The real crypto, enthusiasts have understood it to an extent and really taken to it, which is why Phantom's increased a lot.
Yeah.
But where I see Phantom being simplified and more people coming into using it at higher speeds, less fees, that's where I see the growth for Phantom over the long term. But it needs to have the simplified aspect of it first. Now, what I'm looking at this moment in time is Beefy, because they've got a lot of brilliant yield farms and staking places that you can stake your Phantom against other 50-50 pegged assets or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's also Spooky Swap as well. Now, Spooky Swap is essentially you can connect to Spooky Swap to have a Phantom wallet, and basically they do offer APYs. It's not as good as Beefy, but it's a little bit more of a. I mean, Beefy has been using it as a project. It's gone pretty increasing value quite a lot, right? But it's an alternative to use is Spooky Swap. As kind of a Uniswap alternative as such. So they're the two I'm looking at this moment in time. I'm not a big fan of the farming pools on Pancake Swap and stuff. Because for me, I mean, you get good APYs on BNB network, but I don't think the community's there just yet in BNB, especially on the NFT side of things. Like if you look at the Solana and the Ethereum community from an NFT side of things, like they're so loyal and there's so many of them. BNB just don't have it for me yet, which is why I'm not really entertaining it from a Pancake Swap standpoint just yet.
Yeah, no, okay. And about NFTs, what do you think? Have they been a bit quiet at the moment? I know there was an article about Ukraine doing some sort of NFT drop. I didn't actually go into the article fully, but it's been a bit quiet on the NFT front, or is there still some sort of news or gossip your way?
So there's a few things. I mean, we in my development business in crypto, we work with a lot of clients that are funded in the NFT space. So if I was just in the markets, I wouldn't really know this.
Yeah.
The things that are going on in the back end and the projects that are coming out, you're looking at about 30 projects a day getting released on the Ethereum network, and you're looking at between 5 and 10 a day on the Solana network, right? Now, when it comes to the Solana network, the ability to sell out a collection is much easier than what it is on the Ethereum network, which is why a lot of people are migrating, plus the gas fees are not rubbish as well. Now, what I'm finding is a lot of the newer projects are building on Solana because your budgets are not as big for marketing. Gas fees are killing it, and you can raise a lot more money and have a lot more thriving and educated community as such on the Solana network. So, I think I've mentioned this previously, like, my opinion on NFTs never really changes because I don't trade NFTs itself. But what I do is follow where the masses are going and where the technology is going. And the technology at this point is definitely going down the Solana route. I think as Phantom increases their community and it becomes simplified and easier to use, there'll then be opportunities in Phantom for NFTs and stuff as well. But that's not there just yet, I don't think. So any good projects you want to be looking down the Solana route, looking at there's actually one thing that's really interesting that because I've got a team of 6 that do the NFT marketing. And what's interesting about Solana, which is really good for investing, is currently on OpenSea you've got Ethereum network, right? The Solana blockchain will be going on the Solana NFTs will be going on to OpenSea within the next month.
Okay.
You think about what that does for opening doors for the Solana community to the platform that OpenSea. OpenSea's dare I say, outperforming nearly Binance recently in terms of
massive.
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? But opening the Solana community to the Ethereum community of participators on OpenSea, that's going to have a massive effect on the Solana floor prices and new projects getting launched, like ridiculous. So even from an advisory standpoint, we're very much telling people that have got lower budgets within the NFT space to look on Solana, and the projects that are building on Solana should be building on Solana as well. So that's my opinion, really.
No, that's cool. That kind of makes sense as well. And definitely, like, not financial advice there, guys. Just do your research. But it does make sense. Because I know obviously a lot of the Solana's on Magic Eden, but OpenSea, literally, there was something out there that apparently in January it created some sort of ridiculous amount of profit, and you can see it only getting bigger. You know, Coinbase are releasing. I think it's going to go to the US first. They're going to release a marketplace for NFTs, and loads of other businesses are getting involved, aren't they, with marketplaces? So I think NFTs probably aren't going away anytime soon for non-believers out there. Any other business, Elliot? Have you got any other gossip? Have you been thinking about a theme tune for our Coinwatch?
I left that one with you, didn't I, Ollie?
Yeah, I have. Do you know what I have? I've got a little guitar already. Actually, I did have a little bit of a song. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, it goes a little bit like this. It goes, Coinwatch with Elliott Rayne. Coinwatch, he'll take away your pain. That's all I have so far, Elliot. But I'm hoping next week, you might
be a bit of a duet.
Yeah, we could do a little duet. Do you know what? I love the Coinwatch. I'm sure everyone else loves the Coinwatch as well. And the market update is awesome. Learning TA all the time, and we still have in the pipeline. We'll go through some of the. Hopefully, we can talk about more of the like the tools that you use and stuff. But we're getting there. Along with every episode we do, we're getting there. But I think we're covered. I think we're good. We've got to wait, see what the market does next week. See if we hit that resistance level you said about, which was what, $50K, yeah?
Yeah, 47 first and then 50K.
Okay, 47 and then 50. So we'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll catch up back with you. I think, is that it? Anything else to add? You good?
Absolutely fine. All good. Happy.
Wicked. All right then, man. I'll catch up with you next week. Thanks once again.
Cheers for inviting me. Cheers, Ollie.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers, buddy. Bye. So there you go, guys. Another market update with myself and Elliott Rayne, and you got a little bit of a song at the end. Hey, you got something extra. So let me know all your thoughts about the episode down in the comments below. As always, get yourself subscribed to Crypto Bible and hit the notification bell icon so you never miss any of our upcoming episodes. And don't forget to throw me a like. Come on, there we go. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.